Did Chuck Peruto have anything to do with his girlfriend's death? Or is he the second victim in this mysterious case? Would it even be getting national attention if the dead woman wasn't involved with him? In this exclusive, at-length television interview, Chuck Peruto gives us his answers to those questions and more, and it all starts right now here on It's Your Call. A young woman dies in a bathtub. Was it an accident? A suicide? Even murder, perhaps? All reasonable questions for investigators. Then they learn the victim is the much younger girlfriend of a well-known defense attorney, and the case takes on a new intensity. Did he have anything to do with her death? Their scrutiny intensifies. Then that prominent defense attorney is identified as A. Charles Peruto Jr., known as much for his behavior outside the courtroom as for his unconventional style inside it, and the case becomes a media circus. Did Chucky, as he's known to the press and public alike, play any role in Julia Law's death? I'll ask him that and much more this hour on It's Your Call. Hello everyone, it's good to have you with us. I'm Lynn Doyle. Anyone who has watched this show any time in the last decade knows that one of my most colorful and outspoken and sometimes shocking guests has been Chuck Peruto Jr. He's represented the defense side on many high-profile cases against some of the best lawyers in the country, and he's predicted, correctly I might add, the outcome of those cases on many occasions. He's been called outspoken, obnoxious, and irreverent by my viewers and other guests. He admittedly has the same kind of reputation inside the courtroom, but if he's larger than life as a defense attorney, his reputation away from the courtroom is even bigger. He is known as a so-called playboy who never met a 20-something he didn't like. He's rich, he's famous, and as they say, he gets around. But he says all that ended in the spring of 2013 when he became involved with a young woman named Julia Law, who was 26 years old, worked in his office, and whom he says was his soulmate. But just 5 weeks after their affair started, she was found dead in the bathtub of his swanky home, and questions immediately arose about what, if any, involvement Chuck may have had in her death, which is now the subject, apparently, of a grand jury investigation. He's joining me this hour to address some of those questions surrounding this case in this exclusive interview. Chuck, thank you so much for your time.
Certainly.
And you have my condolences on the loss of the woman that you call your soulmate.
Thank you.
How have you been doing since she died?
Well, as time passes, I'm getting better and better. It was really shocking, but you're never able to mourn when you have accusations leveled at you that you find ludicrous, and those that know me find ludicrous.
I want you to know that I need to conduct this interview as I would if you were any other guest and not a personal friend of mine and a panelist on this show for the last 13 years.
That's what I want.
You're
That's what I
accepting
want.
that?
Yes.
And you also know that anything that you say on this show at some point could come back and someone could try to use it as evidence against you.
Well, I don't know what the evidence will be, but they can try all they want.
With that said then, let's begin. The first question that I have for you. Did you kill Julia Law?
I didn't kill her, and neither did anybody else. I would love to be able to point fingers because I'm angry with a few people the way they've conducted themselves with this, but nobody did.
Did you have anything at all to do with her passing?
Nothing whatsoever, and I really didn't want her to pass. And if a plain reading of my text messages that night, going back and forth with my cell phone, by the way, on a tower in Avalon, New Jersey, and her cell phone in Philadelphia, were very loving. They could only be described as loving. And they went right up until, I think, 1:30 in the morning. And it wasn't until the next morning that I learned that she passed. So not only would I not want her dead, it's just a ludicrous thought.
Why then, in your opinion, do you think that there have been suspicions raised, questions raised, people who have pointed in your direction and ultimately resulted in a homicide investigation?
Well, I made something with my life. I'm a target. I've won a lot of cases. I won cases I shouldn't have won. And you catch the attention of prosecutors. Generally speaking, I'm very good friends with most prosecutors, but I've really been a thorn in the side of some. And to have a prosecutor volunteer for this job to go after me is really painful, unnecessary, and a real smart way to use taxpayer money. There is nothing there, and they know it.
Are you leveling the accusation that the district attorney's office is targeting you or unfairly looking at you as involved in this death?
I am leveling that accusation. There are a bunch of pansies. We have homicides and tremendous shootings in this town that have gone unsolved because they can't get grand jury time. Yet they're going to investigate this case with a grand jury when the homicide detectives in this case closed the investigation as an accident on June 13th when the death was May 25th. And it's still going on, and they can't comment because, oh, a grand jury is secret, so we can't comment. Baloney. Baloney. There's no grand jury on this. There's not a single person to this minute that has been subpoenaed to any grand jury. It's a lie. If anybody committed a crime, they did with their lies.
How can you back that statement up that there is not a grand jury investigation? Because we invited the district attorney from Philadelphia to appear on this show or to make a statement. And we asked if you were a person of interest or a suspect in the Julia Law case. And the only information that they would give us says, quote, the only information this office can confirm for you is that there is a grand jury investigation into the death of Julia Law.
Sure there is. Sure there is.
So
she dies in May.
The district attorney's office is saying, Chuck,
this is the end of
there
September.
is a grand jury investigation.
Is that what they're saying? Well, I can't cross-examine anybody because they're not here, and they're liars. There's no grand jury investigation on me. There will be. Sooner or later, they're going to have to convene a grand jury on this because the article's written in the magazine. I'm here on this show daring them to bring it to a grand jury. So sooner or later, they're going to have to save face. But there's been no witness subpoenaed to any grand jury.
How can you validate that statement? How do you know? But how do you know? How can you prove that there has been no witness called for this particular grand jury?
Because I know all the witnesses. The only witnesses that could possibly be called would be the person who discovered her body, me, other people in my office who knew of my relationship with her and how much we loved her. And there's nothing else that could add to it. Or the medical examiner. The medical examiner, I guess, could be could wrap this case up with one question. Is this death a homicide? No, it's accidental. She had drugs in her. She had way too much alcohol in it. And she's in a bathtub. I'm in Avalon, New Jersey. Did I make her drink all that booze?
The answer? You had
I don't
nothing.
know how anybody from Avalon, am I a hypnotist now? Did I go through the waves on her telephone and make her drink to the point where she's a 0.45? That's 45% of your blood is alcohol. How do I do that? I mean, I don't consider myself that good.
Have you been given that information officially, what the blood alcohol content of Julia Law was, or is that speculation on your point?
It's official.
It's official.
Official.
From whom?
Everybody shut up after the grand jury was announced. After the case was closed, the grand jury was announced. And then everybody stopped talking to me. Chuck, we love you. We can't talk to you anymore. It's as if a curtain went down on the case. But I already know what they're going to say.
When you say everyone, are you talking about police officers, detectives, people within the grand jury,
everything they asked me for,
the prosecutor's
I gave
office?
them voluntarily. They wanted the videos from my house going in and out. I gave it to them. They wanted my DNA. I gave it to them. They wanted to examine my entire apartment for fingerprints. I let them do everything. This business about that I cleaned the bathtub is baloney. I cleaned the bathtub after they put that fingerprint dust all over my place. They were already done their investigation. So everybody wants to twist it the way they want to twist it. The bottom line here, this is a tragic accident. And if I wasn't involved, you'd never hear about it.
How do you feel about that? And how do you feel about the fact that Julia is now being portrayed in the media the way she is because she's involved with you? If she were just another young woman who suffered a tragic death and wasn't involved with so-called Chuck Peruto, we wouldn't know the details of her life that we do. So what impact does that have on you?
Without dodging any questions, I feel terrible that she's brought through the mud on this. I learned things in that investigation, in that magazine, that I didn't know about her. I learned things that I was shocked and I was hurt. But nevertheless, I'm not the one that asked for an investigation. I'm not the one that asked for a grand jury. I'm not the one that asked that this is not just an accident and we need to dig further. People, you know, you have to be careful what you wish for. Other people, and I'm not going to say who, wanted this investigation. And now those people who are close to Julia Law wanted this investigation, and they got it. And I think that she is definitely not resting in peace.
Several times you have alluded to the magazine, and I should point out for people that it was Philadelphia Magazine. You graced the cover of it. It was called The Lawyer and the Dead Girl. It was a very exhaustive, researched piece by Lisa DiPaolo, who is very well known, well respected within media circles. You're on the cover. It could be said that the picture is unflattering or presents an image for other than which you were typically known, which is very dapper and very sophisticated and fun-loving. Obviously, you can't look like that when you've lost a friend.
I'm not the one that chooses the title because I'm not the one selling magazines. I'm not the one who chooses the pose, the print. They're the ones selling a magazine. It has nothing to do with me.
But you are the one who agreed to be interviewed.
Absolutely. I did it.
Why?
For the same reason that I'm sitting here right now.
Why?
I want to make sure that there's not a scintilla of evidence that I did anything, and that the public has a right to know of what went on, because this grand jury is, people are going to die of old age by the time they get to this grand jury. And I am here to answer any question posed to me. I have not pled the Fifth Amendment. I have not gotten an attorney. None of my witnesses have gotten attorneys. We are cooperating. We're cooperating every step of the way, yet you still have this stigma because I'm a successful lawyer.
On that note, we have to take a break, but when we come back, I'm going to ask you a very important question that a lot of our viewers have about the lawyer talking to the press. If you have questions or comments for us, you can email me at lynn@lynndoyle.net, and I will share those with Chuck. Please stay with us. We'll be back in just 2 minutes. Welcome back again, everyone. I'm Lynn Doyle. This is It's Your Call, and our guest this hour is Chuck Peruto, Jr. As you know, he has been a longtime guest on this show. I'm sure that you are used to seeing him here battling it out about various legal cases, always taking the defense perspective. Well, today he's here actually as the subject of our story. He's here to talk about his girlfriend who was found dead in his home on Memorial Day weekend, and since then his life and that of her family and friends has been turned upside down. It was very important for you to address some of the rumors that have surrounded both Julia herself and her mysterious death. And that's why we appreciate very much that you came on. It was also why you decided to tell your story to Philadelphia Magazine. As a lawyer, what would you say to yourself if you were your client? Would you agree with this avenue, with this approach to answering the public's questions?
I just had a case, in April of this year, where Andre Blatch of the New York Nets was accused of rape at the Four Seasons Hotel in Philadelphia. And everybody says, oh, you go up there and shut him up. And you sit with Andre. He didn't do anything. I was convinced he didn't do anything. I had him talk to the police. Commissioner Ramsey himself came down. The case was over and done within 6 hours. He doesn't get arrested, and the case is out. It's a non-case. Sometimes you have to cooperate, especially if you did nothing wrong.
But you did cooperate with the police.
Yes, I did.
If I understand it correctly, you were interviewed and re-interviewed and spent quite a bit of time, hours on end, with homicide detectives.
That is correct. I have no gripe with the Philadelphia Police Department whatsoever. They did a completely thorough job. They had crime scene in there. They have toxicology results. They have medical examiners. I have no problem with evidence. What I have is a problem with personalities, people who have a vendetta against me in the district attorney's office, and it starts at the top. I don't want to hear from him and from other people that he has whispering to me, oh, we like Chuck, but we just have to do this job. There is no job to have to do. It is absolute nonsense. If you're going to convene a grand jury, how do you really call it a meaningful investigation when you have 3 people who she's texting that night from the tub? You have John Hawkins, the lobbyist, who takes Julia to a fundraiser for Seth Williams, several fundraisers. He's tight with Seth Williams. He brags about his connections with the DA. He is the third party in this case, yet he's not even interviewed by detectives for this case. You want to call it a real grand jury? Baloney.
2 questions come to mind from that then. You are talking about Seth Williams, who is the district attorney for the city of Philadelphia.
That's right.
Are you accusing him of misconduct?
Absolutely. Absolutely. When you go after an innocent person and you know from the top of your head to the bottom of their feet that they're innocent, absolutely. Him and Carlos Vega.
And secondly, you mentioned John Hawkins.
Yes.
The lobbyist.
Yes.
That people in Philadelphia are familiar with. What role does he play in this situation?
I'm not saying that he killed her. I'm just saying, how could you call it a fair grand jury when he's not even interviewed and Julia is texting him and has a relationship with him the same time she has one with me? The only thing I did in this case is supply a bathtub. He's not even interviewed? Does that make sense to you, that he's not even interviewed?
How do you know that he was not interviewed?
Because he told me he wasn't interviewed.
He told you?
He told me he wasn't even interviewed.
And you say he had a relationship with Julia, or had...
Well, I didn't know that he had a relationship. I thought they were friends. And then John tells Lisa DiPaolo, it's in the article, that it was more than a friendship, that it was a romantic relationship, and it was a love quadrangle, or whatever you want to call it. And
now,
it's ridiculous.
I'm sorry, but I've read this article from stem to stern. I did not see his name in this article. I did see an allusion to a married person with whom the writer says she was involved.
I think that Lisa DiPaolo and him had an agreement that if he
was called Mr. Big.
He has certain information I could give her, and she made an agreement that whatever he says is off the record. Some of the comments are on the record, but his identity was not disclosed. I have no such deal with him. And from what I understand, his name is out all over the place anyway. People are telling me who it is. It's John Hawkins. And I'm not trying to say John Hawkins killed her, because nobody killed her. I'm just trying to say it is ridiculous for him to say that he's close with Seth Williams and he doesn't even get interviewed. And I do, and I have all this nonsense. I'm here on a TV show defending myself for a homicide.
Has someone accused you of homicide?
No one's accused me except her family.
Her family?
Her family.
Why would you suppose, what would your supposition be, that they would immediately turn to the idea of homicide and not accident?
I don't know. I don't know. I guess they're angry.
If you had a chance to say something to them, this is it, what would you say to them?
The first thing I would say, and first of all, I did call them. I called them and tried to express my condolences. They knew or should have known how much I loved her. And I was trying to be very nice, and they didn't take it that nice. They just thought that I'm responsible in some way and that I'm going to get mine. And I don't know what that means, but, you know, if I said that, I know what I would mean by it.
There are, well, let me stop there. What would you mean by it?
I would say that
you're
going to get revenge. And I didn't do anything. All I did was care for her and love her and was crazy about her, and everybody in my office was. Nobody would want to see her dead. I didn't even know about all these problems until I read in the Inquirer that Lorene Law, her mother, said that she had bouts of alcoholism, was in and out of alcohol treatment centers. And then I find out from other people that they picked her up from an alcoholic treatment center and brought her drinking. I mean, these are things that I learned later.
You also learned later that not only did she allegedly have a relationship with MB, who you suspect could be Mr. Hawkins, but also with another associate in your office.
Oh, well, there's no doubt that
who has since left your office.
Mark is a good guy. Mark didn't kill anybody either.
There are those who say, or suppose, or for whatever lack of other word, think, hey, Chucky had her killed because she was involved with other men. What would you say to those people?
Well, I think it's funny because, number one, I didn't know she was involved with other men until after she passed. Of course, I knew she was involved with Mark. She just never got around to telling him, from what I read in the article, that it was over. But she would tell everybody in my office that she did, that she texted them and said it was over. She told me, my text, a plain reading of my text is, I told Mark that it's over, I'm with you, I'm yours now, all those kinds of things, which I turned over to the police. I don't know what she was saying to the married guy, because, you know, I'm not privy to those texts. But I can tell you that I'm sure Mark doesn't think I killed her. And I don't think Mark killed her, because nobody killed her. And I certainly wouldn't want to kill her based on information I didn't have. I didn't know she was dating the married guy. Of course I knew about Mark. I was subsequent to Mark, not before Mark. The married guy came, I guess, a month into the research that Lisa DiPaolo was doing.
In the article, it says the relationship with the married man had been going on for 6 years.
Right.
You had no idea.
Oh, I thought they were friends. And she told me that they were just friends. And Hawkins told me that they were just friends. I met with him twice for drinks because we were both lamenting about her. And honestly, he told me flat out in plain English directly to my face that it was not a sexual relationship. And then he tells
And
Lisa...
do you believe him?
You believe what you want to believe. So yes, I did believe him. But then he told Lisa that it was a sexual relationship. I, of course, called him up. I said, yo, why are you telling me this? He goes, I didn't think he could handle it. Yes, it was a sexual relationship. But I didn't find out this till like 6 weeks after her death.
All right. Again, we have to take a quick break, but we'll be back with more with Chuck Peruto and the case that has captivated Philadelphia and now nationwide attention. The police have called it, the press has called it the dead girl in the bathtub case, but to Chucky, it was his beloved Julia Law. We'll be right back. We are finishing our conversation with Chuck Peruto, who has been at the center of a controversy surrounding the death of his girlfriend in May. He is giving us his side of the story. We did want you to know that we issued an invitation to Julia Law's family to appear on this show, or to have a representative appear, or to give them the opportunity to have an entire show to themselves. We did not get a response, but the invitation stands. If the Law family would like to be on the program and address the death of their daughter, we would certainly extend that invitation. And Chuck, you say that you have no problem with that, that you have nothing to hide, and that you don't fear
they lost their sister,
their
their
conversation.
daughter. They are suffering. So they want to come out swinging, and maybe they haven't focused yet on the right person. Maybe their anger will subside. I don't know. I don't know. They lost somebody, and I'm going to withhold judgment on why they want blood.
They dispute your terminology, calling her the love of your life, or that the two of you were soulmates, and say that she was, they've been quoted as saying that she was still very much involved with the previous boyfriend. Mm-hmm. Do you dispute that? How would you dispute that?
You don't need a translator to understand English. All you have to do is read her text messages to me in a plain, simple reading of them, what she told others about me, in a plain understanding of it, and you have your answer to that. They were just unaware of what she was doing in Philadelphia. I mean, I can't answer that. It's just plain and simple. I know what she told me, I know what I told her, and that's it.
According to the Philadelphia Magazine article, she was texting, if not similar comments, texting other men.
Yes, she was.
Do you truly believe that she loved you? Or now in hindsight, do you think that this was a troubled young woman?
I think that it's a combination of both. I don't think she loved me as much as she claimed she loved me. I think she was certainly troubled. I had no idea how much she was troubled. But I do know that if I knew how much she was troubled, I could have helped her. I know I could have helped her.
And you say people will be shocked when the toxicology reports come out.
Yes.
You think that she had a terrible combination of alcohol and drugs, and that that's what caused her to drown in your bathtub on that fateful night?
There is no question, and there is no other explanation for her death. It is not a homicide.
On that note, Chuck Peruto, thank you very much for your time. I certainly appreciate you providing your perspective to us.
Thank you.
And if you have questions or comments, please email me at lynn@lynndoyle.net. Until the next time, thank you for watching.